What's up? My name's Glueboy, welcome back to the channel, and I didn't intend for this to be this way, but this is weirdly kind of topical. Today we're talking about a really fun subsect of the Imperium, the Officio Assassinorum, or the Assassin Temples. Now, the reason this is so opportune is because very recently, Games Workshop dropped a giant thing for the Inquisition and the Assassins. Looking through the stat blocks, the Assassin stat lines haven't changed like too much. They're just tuned up slightly to fit the current edition. But what exactly is the Officio Assassinorum? Essentially, it is the Inquisition-ran assassin organization. They're the people you call in when you want a person specially dead. When it's too much to call in some Space Marines or even just the Imperial Guard, you need to do a nice fine scalpel removal of a problem. All of this starts at the Schola Progenium, where, they take all the orphans, the many orphans in 40k, because there's a lot, and siphon them off to a bunch of groups. Are you going to be a Sister of Battle, a Commissar, a possible Inquisitor, a Tempestus Scion, a military officer? Or, if you're especially badass at the age of 12, you get sent off to one of the Assassin Temples, where you are given the most grueling training and prerequisite requirements ever. First things first, the ship there isn't safe. You're thrown into a child battle royale, where you're on a ship simulating a lot of different environments with varying levels of food and water and oxygen, and you gotta duke it out with a bunch of other 12-year-olds for a couple years. Then finally, when you reach the fucking temple, you have 10 years of looking through it, the actual most grueling training in the Imperium, worse than Space Marine training. And eventually, you come out as a specially crafted little psychopath to throw out a problem. Now, one thing I will mention, just in case, because I actually had this misconception. There is another form of assassins inside the Imperium, specifically known as the Death Cult Assassins. A bunch of BDSM-wearing female assassins who are obsessed with blood and murder. Look into whoever wrote them. Honestly, there's something about who made these. But they're not the same, because these ones are religious, not governmental. They're more tied with the Ministorum, and are really they get corrupted by Khorne a lot, because they're really obsessed with bloodshed for the Emperor. There are some problems. They're not the same thing, main point. When you get sent to your temple, a temple is essentially just a training regimen for a very specific method of murder. Now, it's not to say they can't do other methods, but this is the key one they talk about, because every single temple has their concept of what a clean kill is, and you aspire to get that clean kill in whatever method your temple teaches you. And you become absolutely ridiculous, as in these regular people, with honestly very little augmentation, become forces that even Space Marines have trouble dealing one-on-one. That's massive. But let's actually talk about those temples. You have 4 main temples and then a bunch of mini ones, which I'll get into those quickly at the end because they're fine, they're not that interesting. The main 4 are your real bread and butter. All right, so first up is the Callidus Assassins. The Callidus Assassins are experts in infiltration and subterfuge. Their entire thing, first and foremost, they're another group of skin-tight, latex-wearing all women. I don't know who keeps writing these in 40k, but they keep popping up. And they do a special thing where they take the drug known as polymorphine that allows them to essentially polymorph into any humanoid shape, which allows them to perfectly infiltrate wherever. I'm not just talking about human places. They can infiltrate orcs, Tau, Eldar. If they're humanoid, they can do it. And a lot of times, a Callidus assassin will infiltrate and stay there for a very long time in deep cover, until eventually the perfect time to strike hits. Say, for example, they've infiltrated and worked their way up as the right-hand man to the big general of this army. And then right once the actual fighting starts, immediate pops out, uses their weird long wrist blade, stab through the throat and run away. That military force is now crippled. Their leader, in the moment they need to actually lead, is now dead. That's what they're very good at. As well, another fun thing they do is supplant important people. Say a governor's acting up. Well, you sneak in, kill the governor, take their form, and then lead in a planet that might have been rebelling against the Imperium back to the Imperium. And then just replace with a new emperor, like governor, and then dip. Next up is the Callidus assassins. Now, this group is, I think, one of the most feared assassin temples, and especially made up for, because they target a very specific type of person, psychers. Now, the Callidus are all blanks. Now, blanks, for those who don't remember, a blank is a person born with the pariah gene, where for whatever reason, they do not have a presence in the warp. Whatever interpretation you want of that, one interpretation is they don't have a soul in the traditional sense, where a soul in 40k means that you have a direct tie to the warp that can influence and be influenced. They don't have that. So essentially they're a giant null point for anything warp or psyker based. Or you just don't like being around a blank. They're really weird. Or you just kind of naturally hate them or think they're gross. Now you take this blank and then you give them equipment that amplifies their pariah gene, and to the point where they are actually hazardous to be around if you have any psychic potential. And blanks are already bad enough. When a psyker is with a blank, they're like, I feel physical pain, I want to vomit, I need to run away. When a Callidus is there, it's immediately, I'm in so much excruciating pain, I want to die right now, I'm going to actually shoot myself in the head. And that's their methods. They just walk right up and target psykers. To the point where the Eldar have pointed out, like, they are evil. They are unequivocally evil. Because, yeah, if you walk into a room and all your people start clawing their eyes out, that's some evil shit. These ones are really fun. They have the lamest rules, in my opinion, for the 4 that you can bring, but they also look dope. That whole get up is on point. All right, my favorite temple, the Vindicare Temple. Now, in video games and stuff, I'm a big fan of snipers. I love sniper stuff. I want to have long sniper rifle. I want to play a sniper character and whatever. That's what I do. It's all June from Halo Reach's fault. Love this man. So, the Vindicare Assassin are the best snipers, period. Because they can pick their perfect perch, maybe a few miles away, sit there for weeks or months on end, entering a hibernation state where their metabolism slows to a near crawl, and they can just wait for that perfect shot where they can pinpoint down to like your pupil or your fucking jugular and take that shot through miles of just hazardous issues, smoke plumes, trees, foliage, walls, wind, all of that, get that perfect shot, leave before anyone knows where the shot even came from. You have an army of dead shots from DCU, but better. Like, what's not to love? And their rule is super fun. They have a rule of rolling headshots, where if you shoot a character, you get to keep rolling, and if you keep rolling 6s, you deal more damage. I have had Armin explode from one of these people getting a lucky-ass shot on him. Turn 1, that was it real feels bad, but they're so much fun to bring if you can scrap at 100 points. And last of the major temples, we have the Eversor Assassins. Now, it's not enough that one person needs to die. What happens if you need that one person to die, all of their like friends, and then everyone within a quarter-mile radius to die? Well, you send in the Eversors, who are hopped up on a lot of stims and drugs to be thrown into a murderous rampage state. They are frozen until they're needed to be released, then airdropped into the zone where they go in an absolute frenzy and kill everything they touch. And, well, say for example, oh, what if they just get killed immediately? Well, doesn't matter. They have a thermonuclear bomb in their chest that goes off and kills everyone around them regardless. It's like the goofiest shit, and they're so fun. They're horde clearing in the tabletop, and then they explode. And lastly, real quick, there are a few minor temples that I should bring up. They're kind of interesting and also just like one-off mentions of something. Like what, I have my phone here, I have a small list. I'm gonna go through it like I did with my Inquisitors in my Inquisitor video. Okay, so first up we have the Admis Temple, and they are assassins. Like, there's nothing complex about them. They're just assassins with swords and guns. I don't know why they're special to be noted, to be completely honest with you. Then we got the Venom Assassins, and guess what their whole thing is? Poisons. Their poisons are like second to the Drukhari's poisons. The actual masters of poison. They slip cyanide in your drink, or space cyanide in your space alcohol, and then you die. Real interesting. Then we have the Vanus Temple, the only temple where I'm like, this minor temple's kind of cool. They don't kill directly. Instead, they find out their target, and then they manipulate events around their target so they die. They're the ones you call in when someone needs to make an unfortunate accident. That's them. Because what's the cleanest kill when you're not the one to pull the trigger, their friend is? Or a small rebellion pops up and gets them killed. Or a fucking boulder falls on them or whatever. Like that's their whole shtick. More interesting than just having a sword or poisoning someone's drink. And then lastly, we have the Mayor's Temple. In reality, it's a temple that's self-destructed because they're all fucking morons. They decided, okay, we'll kill people with mutated just things. We'll create hybrids of Xenos and humans and have them want to eat biomass and need the biomass to grow, evolve, and live, like the Tyranids. So obviously, it imploded on itself and doesn't exist anymore. Even the Imperium makes major weird fuck-ups, I guess. And yeah, that's the Assassin Temples. A nice, short, quick little video in response to GW coming out with some cool rules for them. I highly recommend looking into that document and also just buying some of the Assassins, to be honest. They're super fun and super fun to bring if you're running Imperium stuff. So give them a try. But anyways, that's it for me. If you like this, like, comment, subscribe, do that stuff, and see you.